How's it going, Holly students? I was thinking about you guys, hoping that y'all were staying focused on everything that we talked about staying connected, building relationships, and I just wanted to make a video about connection, about how important it is for our brain, our mental health. So I made this video for you. I hope you enjoy it, and I hope to see you all soon. Hello everybody, today we are going to talk about a topic that I think is more relevant now than it has ever been before, and that's the impact of isolation on our brains. In this video we are going to explore not just the scientific side of what happens when we're cut off from people, but also real tangible effects that it has on our day-to-day lives and of course our mental and physical health. It turns out that your brain is actually wired for connection, for social interaction, and when you don't get it, the brain changes. It literally causes brain damage. You lose nerve connections. So before 2020, this issue was noticeable mainly in old people. People that were cut off from their families, living in nursing homes, maybe they're unable to drive, they couldn't see people when they wanted to. Researchers saw that the social isolation, it increased cognitive decline, and it was a risk for developing Alzheimer's disease. But the crazy thing is, after 2020 and all the lockdowns, we started seeing the side effects in young people. You may be experiencing it right now. Some of you have brain fatigue, brain fog, you can't think clearly, you start to think slower, you're having trouble finding the words that you're trying to say, and you mentally feel tired and drained every single day, no matter how much you sleep. Even though you haven't done anything physical yet, you feel exhausted mentally. So why would social isolation do this to you? Well, it's because your brain is made up of a network of nerves. It's like a community in your brain. The tighter the connection between the nerves, the better they are able to transfer signals from one to another. So think about the nerves like a neighborhood. The closer the neighbors are, the easier it is to send a message from one to the other. But what happens is inflammation causes the connections to loosen. They get further apart. And inflammation is caused by stress. And guess what the leading cause of stress is? You guessed it, social isolation. That's why when somebody goes to prison, per se, for an example, one of the worst places you can go is a punishment, right? Well, the worst punishment within the worst place that you can go is complete isolation, because isolation is torture to our nervous system and to our brains. But that's not all. Social isolation causes a whole list of other problems, especially for young people, because your brains are still developing and you're still learning what we call social cognition skills. So if you've been isolated, it will affect these social skills. This includes your ability to read someone's emotional expression, to remember things, memory, recognizing someone's face even, being able to interpret someone's tone of voice so you know their mood, being able to empathize with another person and appreciate that they have their own desires, goals, and intentions. And you may think, Jared, that sounds so stupid. I would never forget how to do these basic things. But you would be surprised at how many kids have already forgotten and have begun to isolate themselves and other people, unaware of the real dangers. It's a lot more than you think. Just like everything else in your life, you either use it or you lose it. So we need social interaction to maintain these basic social skills. But then there's the brain changes. One of the studies that I referenced to make this video, researchers looked at structural MRI data from 32,000 people, which is a lot of people. That's a lot of data. It was a big study. The people who were isolated showed that their brain loss was in the temporal lobe, the frontal lobe, and the hippocampus. I'm gonna break this down. Your hippocampus is important for emotional memories mainly. In fact, people who are depressed have smaller hippocampi. The temporal lobe plays a role in managing your emotions, processing information from your senses, and storing memories, retrieving memories, and even understanding language, which of course explains why when you are isolated for a really long time, you seem to forget things more easily, you feel lost for words when you're trying to talk during conversations, and you have quite literally a lot to learn about social interacting again. And the frontal lobe, it controls your personality because it is in charge of your decision-making abilities, and you are a product of all the decisions that you make and that you don't make. So my hope with this video is not to scare you, it's to educate you, because I find that when people know why they should do something, the how gets much easier. Imagine if I just told you isolation is bad, it's causing brain damage. You'd be like, whatever, don't be so dramatic. But now you're seeing this real scientific data, and some of you are realizing that you've been a victim of isolation and you're starting to see the side effects within your own life. You used to have a bigger vocabulary, you used to be able to speak clearly, but now you can't. So now what I want you to know is that you can start making the necessary changes today to get those skills back. Your brain has the ability to rewire itself and retighten those connections so they can communicate more easily again. It's called neuroplasticity. Everybody has this ability, and it's more successful in people that are under the age of 25. Your brains are still in development, so you could rewire and tighten these connections in about 21 days, so about 3 weeks. When you're over the age of 25, your brain starts to hardwire and it becomes much more of a task. Especially for adults over the age of 30, it could take up to 120 days to rewire their brain. That's why we have those sayings like, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. It's not completely true. Your brain is able to change up until the day that you die, but it is harder for the old dog to be consistent long enough to make lasting changes in their brain. But you have this advantage. You are young. You all can repeat a behavior pattern for 3 weeks and become a completely new person. Kids under the age of 7, their brains are so soft and moldable, there's so much neuroplasticity that they can watch a movie, and by the end of that movie, their entire personality changes, right? My son watches the Mario movie, next day he's Mario. My point is that you can do this. You can be whoever you want to be and accomplish anything that you set your mind to if you be consistent enough. Go to the gym every day for 3 weeks, and by the 4th week, it's just something that you do now. It's a part of your lifestyle. You no longer have to force yourself to go. Now you want to go. You feel bad when you don't go now. So think about the person that you want to become. Write down the qualities, the characteristics, and the actions required to become that person. Then be that person fully for 3 weeks, and I promise you that you will see results. Another solution to this problem of social isolation is building up your cognitive reserve. Your cognitive reserve is the mental buffer you have that lets your brain compensate and function even when you have reduced brain volume. So even if you're being isolated and you can't control it and you're losing social skills, it's like having a backup power generator turn on when the power goes out. And this is a real thing, and it explains why some people, when they get to their 80s, they can still be very sharp, while other people get to their 60s and they have trouble remembering names, events, and all of that. The more you build up your cognitive reserve now, the more you will be able to function even when you are exposed to stressors like isolation that are out of your control, environmental toxins, chronic stress, or anything that just comes with life, right? Anything that's damaging to your brain. So you can think of the cognitive reserve as your brain's psychological resilience. Here are 5 things that you can do to increase your cognitive reserve. Number 1, learning something new every single day. In fact, today, as you watch this video, you are strengthening your cognitive reserve. Number 2, high levels of positive social interaction. Have a conversation with someone who makes you feel better about yourself and brings out the best in you. Someone who has your best interests at heart. Even if that person is online or it's over the phone or text, make this your goal. Every single day, make a goal to go out there and have a conversation with someone where at the end of that conversation, you leave feeling better. Number 3, jobs that challenge you. Most everyone watching this video is at an age where it's time to get a job. You might already have a job, and I always encourage young people to go out there and look for a job that is going to make them more intelligent. Instead of chasing the money right now while you're young, chase the intellectual property that you will gain from the experience of the job itself, because the skills that you learn are what's going to get you paid more in the future. For example, my skill is communication. I make a living by breaking down really complex ideas and communicating them in a way that everyone can understand. I started when I was 15 years old, and I didn't get paid until I was 18. I worked 3 years as an unpaid intern underneath speakers that were more qualified than me, and I worked on sharpening my communication skills. I could have chased the money in the beginning and went to the oil field like all my friends where I grew up and made some quick cash, but I opted for something more. And now I have a skill that no one can take away from me. So I have job security. And at the end of the day, that paid off for me tremendously. Number 4, engage in activities that engage your brain. Personally, I have an app on my phone called Elevate. Instead of mindlessly scrolling through social media when I'm bored, I play this game on my phone. The Elevate app, you gotta download it. The games are meant to make you smarter, and they're fun. Number 5 is regular exercise. I know you've heard this a million times, but exercise is the most powerful antidepressant in the world, and that is not an exaggeration. If someone could bottle up all the chemicals that your brain releases after a good workout and put it into a pill, it would be the #1 drug in the world. Exercise stimulates nerve growth, and nerve growth means new pathways and new connections. So yes, exercise rebuilds your brain. You have to continuously engage your mind every single day. But here's the thing, you're doing that every day anyways. You're always thinking about what you're thinking about, even if you're not trying
trying to. Try to stop thinking. Your brain will keep going. So you might as well make a conscious effort to think about better things. Think better thoughts, develop better habits, and create a better lifestyle for yourself. What I really want you to get from this video is really these two things. Number one, as human beings, we need connection. We need it like we need food, water, and air to survive. We need love, connection, and affection. Without it, we will feel disconnected, stressed, and depressed. Those are just facts. Those feelings take a toll on your brain, and over time, they quite literally make people lose their minds, which is all we are. I'd rather lose everything I have than to lose my mind. So think again before you self-isolate or isolate someone else, because you could be taking away something that is vital to that person's life. And second, I want you to think and understand that your life is within your control more than you know. I know you're young. You're living under somebody else's roof and rules, but you control your reactions. No matter what someone else says or does to you, you have the ability to respond the way that you choose. And I hope that this video has inspired you to start taking control of your life and your mind. Start making healthier choices and choose healthier reactions. That way, even when bad things happen, you can still come out the other side a better person. Look, I love you all. My heart goes out to you and your community. I know life has knocked you down this year and it hurts, but now it's your turn to respond. Not with anger, not with guilt, not with shame, but with love. No longer will we sit back and let other people be isolated. From now on, we are going to be connected as a family, and no person will go without social interaction. We will connect the disconnected and build better relationships that will last through the toughest of times. This is the only way that we can do it. If we're going to do it right, we have to do it together. And I'm with you, and I hope that you're with me. I told you in the program when I was at your school, this is my way of making a difference, using my voice. But if you want something to change at your school and your life, you're going to have to create that change by using your voice. What are you going to do? What are you going to say? How are you going to respond? It is your turn. It's time to make that change. Thanks for watching, everybody.